Hi there, it's me, Catherine Collert-Page, here with another writing process tip today. Um, so today I'm talking about starting over, which seems like a really defeating proposition. But in fact, starting over can be a great thing for your work, whether you are doing legal writing or fiction writing. I can remember when I was in the MFA program, I had this novel I was working on called Disobedient. I still might change the title to this novel. And it was all right in the first draft. It was all right as a short story. Not great, but all right. And then I got some suggestions from my professor, and I started writing defensively. I was coming from a sort of defensive and insecure place with respect to my writing, and frankly, it turned into a horrible mess. Not that there weren't some salvageable parts. The first part was particularly bad, and I still look back and groan because I took it to workshop, and it was in front of other people, and I just felt lost with respect to this novel. And you know, I was 2 semesters in. I was going to have to use it as part of my creative thesis. And in the third semester, I just started over from scratch. I mean, I had written probably 100 pages of this novel. I started over from scratch. I completed the novel during my time with VCFA, and my advisor approved of it. Both my third semester advisor approved of it in terms of meeting the requirements for passing that semester, which that semester is mostly focused on the critical thesis anyway, but it also comprised part of my critical thesis, and so I worked on it with just the most amazing professor, amazing writer, Rita Williams-Garcia, who anyone who's worked with her just raves about her. Her work is fabulous. If only we could all dream to have work as good as hers. We should be so fortunate. But in any case, I had started over from scratch. And the interesting thing that I discovered was that all is not lost when you start over. In fact, you wind up going to little bits and pieces and salvaging those. And important work gets done in the early stages, and it sort of helps you realize what to throw out. In fact, that process of throwing out that one draft is sort of freeing. I'm not the only person who's done this. Cynthia Leitich-Smith, without whom I probably would not be where I am today, who is another fantastic writer, I believe best-selling author, has an enormous body of work out there. She's also a professor and someone who's helped numerous writers. I believe that she now does that with I know she's at least done it with one draft, and I want to say that I think I've heard, or at least there's been a rumor, that she completely deletes a version and starts over from scratch. I don't know that I could completely delete a version and start over from scratch, so my hat's off to her there, but still, I mean, if you read her work, she's a great writer, and so it's working for her. Wynne-Jones, he did that. He did that with a novel that later went on to win the National Book Award. So there's something to this idea of starting over from scratch. And you can do it with legal writing as well. I want to say that back when I was practicing, that there were briefs that I started over from scratch. With respect to my scholarly articles, I don't recall starting one over completely from scratch. However, there are whole sections that have gotten tangled up, and I've started them over from scratch. And I know I've talked to plenty of students who have started over from scratch. It may seem like a waste of time, but honestly, sometimes starting over from scratch takes less time than trying to untangle what it is that you already have. And I believe it's Richard Newman who says that writing is thinking. So that early draft, that one that you may toss out, it was still part of your thought process. And it helped you get where you are with respect to the final draft. So consider sometime starting over from scratch. Okay, right on.